And this is Jen Gray, and welcome to Be Jennuine Podcast. It is my heart that by the end of this episode, you believe that your story matters and that your authenticity is your superpower. Welcome to the stage, Jen Gray. Hi, friends. I am so excited for today's episode and for us to get to know our super exciting guest. Today's guest is Lora Cheadle, a leadership wellness coach, a TEDx speaker, and best-selling author who helps people and organizations recover from burnout and betrayal so they can lead with unshakable authenticity. A former attorney turned wellness expert, Lora blends mind-body practices, somatic healing, and her own legal insight to guide others through deep, lasting transformation. She's the creator of Life Choreography and the Fuel Up Burnout Recovery Method, and the author of It's Not Burnout, It's Betrayal and Flaunt. Lora also leads Step Into Your Moxie trainings worldwide, helping leaders fuel up, rise up, and take back their power. Welcome to the show, Lora.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, me too. I mean, so much just even in reading your bio, and I've done a little bit of research on you just to, to figure out who I get to have this amazing conversation with. And I am fascinated by your work. I'm fascinated how an attorney turns somatic healing and all of those things. And so I would love for you to just kind of take us on your journey. You are way more than just the description on this page, but kind of give us an insight into your world, like what you were doing, how that all shifted, kind of where you are now, and what that journey looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. I started off practicing law and I thought I would spend my whole life practicing law because, I think like so many of us, we get so passionate about something and we train for it. And I'm all about justice. Well, I only ended up practicing about 10 years before I completely burned out and walked away.
Wow.
And that was only the first part of my journey. I burned out hard for so many different reasons. But as is true, I think for so many of us, when we're in the middle of something, we can't really see what's going on. We just can't figure it out because we're exhausted. Yeah. So when I walked away, I thought it was just all about burnout. I thought it was all about stress. I thought it was all about, I can't do this work-life balance thing. I thought I could, but I can't. So I decided to really dig deep into the health and wellness realm. If I had been there too, then I can guide other people to it. Well, I always loved fitness. I always loved wellness. So that was the path that I kind of went down for a while. Hypnosis, personal training, just like all of those things on how to manage stress. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. But what was interesting about it is I didn't solve people's problems. I taught people how to manage stress, but they would still burn out. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And then I had my dark night of the soul. I found out that my husband, who I had been married to for 23 years at the time, had been cheating on me for 15 years with
Oh my goodness.
multiple women. Oh yeah. And I was beyond devastated. Beyond. This was something I didn't know how I could get through. And what was interesting and profound about it, why I'm at where I am today, is I started learning about betrayal and betrayal trauma. And that's when it clicked. I wasn't burned out. I was experiencing a profound sense of betrayal in the workplace. I was not showing up for myself. I was putting expectations on myself that nobody could meet. So I was chronically betraying myself. Yeah. And I started thinking about my clients and same thing. It was like, this isn't just burnout. This is betrayal. And that's what led me to where I'm at today.
Wow. First of all, I'm so sorry. I cannot even imagine that devastation and that season of just trying to take one foot in front of the other and survive and figure out what life looks like after that. Just so many layers of pain. And I think that's really interesting that you connected the dots from when we think betrayal, like when you say that, where immediately our mind goes to someone cheated on you, right? Like immediately.
Yes.
And you're right? You've experienced that too. But then to translate those same mindsets and patterns and trauma that we received to also being in the workplace, I think that's fascinating. So when you realized there was that connection, what did that do for you? Was it like your work that you just started to study and like what did that look like? Because you found I found the problem. So then what
Yes.
did it look like to kind of identify and then to solve the problem?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I had to heal myself. I had absolutely to heal that betrayal trauma in me. And for me, healing, yes, it looks like processing, but
Mm,
it also looks like education and figuring it out and researching and failing,
right.
trying healing modalities that didn't work. And what was nice is not only was I going through the journey, but I had enough awareness that I was also an observer of the journey. And
Cool.
I think that facilitated my healing much more quickly. And then it enabled me to take those same things and to try them out with some of my current clients and to be like, does this work? How does this work? Let's figure this out together.
Oh my goodness, I love that. So I had a very different journey, but very similar in the sense that my life dumpster fired around me. I had to restart completely. For me, it was the age of 40. I had to single mom of 4 kids. Had to just navigate this new world and new life and all of that. And those dark days of literally feeling like I'm like, I think I might be homeless. I think I have to restart all of the things
Yeah.
what I got through and what I used in because I was the same way. I said, you know what? I could blame everybody on the planet, especially certain people, right?
Oh, yeah.
But if I continue to blame and I don't look inward and I don't heal and I don't gain, just healing from those things, I'm going to bring this into everything in my future. And that is the last thing that I want to do is be
Yes.
able. So I love that you just took the genuine work that you went through. And even that's just out of curiosity. So, like for me, I became big time on waking up at 5 in the morning. I needed to prove that I could do hard things. So I was
Mm.
doing burpees, doing workouts, listening to these hardcore in your face podcasts, doing cold showers, all of that just to get me through this season and to again, Jen, you can do hard things. We are going to show up and we're going to just keep moving forward. So that was part of my the modalities that I fell into. What about for you? So what did that look like? Like, how do you start to pick up those pieces and where do you even start?
Yeah, I love that question. And I love what you said that you did because it's the perfect contrast in a way to some of the things that I did. I kind of did the opposite.
I love that.
I had, just like you, I
Mhm.
realized the blame, the bitterness, all of that was going to eat me alive and it was going to shut me down. And what I realized that I needed to do for me was look within me. It was easy to blame him. It was easy to blame his childhood trauma. It was easy to blame that. And I thought, well, I'm pretty darn perfect, right? I mean, I'm not the one that cheated. I'm holding it all together. I'm doing it. And I started thinking, actually, I need to look at myself very authentically.
Mm,
I need to quit performing. I need to quit putting on the happy face. I need to quit having the perfect house. I need to fall apart and find my strength within and own my own stuff. And in order to own my own stuff, I had to see it. And it's not like I was this egotistical nightmare. But at the same time, I was an
mhm,
overfunctioner. I took
mhm.
care of everything for everybody else,
Right.
and I didn't have time to look at myself, and it was like, "You know what? If not now, it's never gonna happen." So
That's
I
so
let it fall apart.
I can relate to that so deeply because I don't know if I hadn't gone through that pain, if I ever would have looked myself in the mirror and dealt with it, right? And just
Yes.
taken the mask off long enough, like you just to expose what I'm overcompensating for, what I'm overperforming for, and what I'm just, I don't know about you, but for me, I was like that. It was like, I'm all things to all people. And that's like what I
Yes.
prided myself on was, and then when I had to stop, it was like that scene. And I think it's My Best Friend's Wedding or Runaway Bride. It was one Julie Roberts movie, and she's like, "I don't even know how I like my eggs."
Yes.
That's how it felt. I'm like, "What is Jen even like? Like, who are we? What are we even doing?" And I had never
Yes.
paused long enough to even consider my own feelings, my own pain, my own shoving emotions that I
Yes.
don't have time to deal with because everybody else was more important, right, in my
Yeah.
world. And I think that's really, really powerful to use that devastation as the wake up call of I get to like for me, I was like imagining like a brick building that I
Uh-huh.
get to rebuild with only the bricks that I want to. Like my whole
Yes.
world has been shattered. And for the
Yes.
first time, I mean, it's all burned to the ground. So we're gonna rebuild this. I'm absolutely I so resonate with that.
Yeah.
So then you begin your healing process. And so then what does that look like? So then you start coaching? Were you already coaching? Like,
I had been coaching for quite some time.
okay.
And here's another little interesting spin on that. I was
Mhm.
coaching part time, it was a mom job. I had stepped away from my career. I'm going to support my husband's career. I'm going to support the house. I'm going to support the kid. Like, I'm going to, you know what I mean, pick up all the slack for everybody else. And
Mhm.
that was also part of my healing. If I'm going to build a business, my schedule needs to come first. I need to be at least equally important to everybody else and everything else because I had this mindset that I couldn't inconvenience anybody else. I could stay up late and take care of it on my own time. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Not if you're building a business. I need to be a priority in my life. And if I inconvenience people, it's not really my problem. It's theirs.
That's again so huge. And I'm sure you've Mel Robbins' Let Them theory. I felt like, I mean, I couldn't read through it fast enough because it put words to what I feel like in that healing journey for me for the first time that I allowed them, like, okay, no, they can be mad that I'm now choosing me, but that's guess what? What's the other option? I know what
Right.
the other option is, to lose myself. I'm not
Hmm.
losing myself again. And
Yeah.
so just saying, okay, guess what? Some people aren't going to understand. But then also, you may be the black sheep of your family or your friend group. And then your journey may be what they need whenever they're ready for it. But you got to stay true to you and
Yes.
know that your healing is the absolute, you're worth it. Like, I feel like we live like we have this extra life that we get to be a part of. And I'm like, this is it. Get this one life. And what impact can we have while we're here? So I would love, so you mentioned like you've kind of married the two as far as like taking your legal background. So
Yes.
that makes you very different because most people who are in law, I don't think somatic healing and coaching
Right.
in their resume, which I love. I so love it. So what does that bring to the table? How do you see those working together?
Oh, I love that. It brings so much together because here's the thing. We are trained to sit down and be quiet, to sit at your desk and study, to sit in your office, and we don't process things like we are walking heads. And then we can't figure out why employees are leaving, why we're not happy, why relationships aren't working because we're in our head.
Yeah.
We are mostly a body. I mean, really, we're 90% body. We flow our emotions. Emotions are electromagnetic energy. Our bodies are designed to metabolize emotion. The only way we can do that is through movement. And
Mm.
one of the things that I took a deep dive in is looking at indigenous cultures around the world. They all dance. They all move. They all move. And yet we have been acculturated to sit at our desk and not move. And then we wonder why we're falling apart.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. That
Yeah.
is so true.
So
Yeah.
it's huge. And sometimes like that, even coaching with people, it's like, I'll guide them through a movement. And it's like, how do you move your shoulders? Wait, what? This is so hard. And then people will cry or they'll laugh or they're
Mm.
like, I suddenly have the answer. And it's like, yes, because the
Truth.
answer is within your body, not always just your head.
Oh my goodness. I grew up in a culture where it said to never trust your heart. Like, don't trust it. And so I believe that. And so it's almost like as I would feel something, I'm like, oh no, that's probably selfish. And
Mhm.
I literally was indoctrinated to believe that I could not trust my gut intuition. And that was one of the first things I had to unpack was the
Yes.
power of our gut and the power of our reading of energy around us and finding this alignment and understanding the power of that and learning again to trust that, man, this all was made to work together. And so when you feel
Oh,
that uneasiness in your stomach, it's a big deal. And that's
yes.
taking notice. And that was something that I had never personally, I mean, I'd never even given
Yeah.
myself permission, for that to even be, a
And
factor in my growth.
right. And I love that you broke that down and that you're on the other side of that and you can talk about that now. I mean, that's huge.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
huge. And then, like, on the other side of that, when you were talking about earlier that you needed to prove to yourself you could do hard things, part of that for me was also proving that I could make a mistake.
Oh,
That
that.
what if I listen to my gut and it's wrong? What if I logic it out and it's wrong?
Mhm.
And for me, that was such this huge threat. Oh
Mhm.
my God, what if I'm wrong?
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You can pivot. It's okay.
Exactly. So I think so it's funny. So that's how it started. That's how like I went to my modality as soon as everything happened. And then it's like once I got through that and it's almost like I had to prove to myself that I could stick to it. I was like, okay, I wouldn't lie to anybody else. I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm going to prove I'm going to move forward. And then it was giving myself permission to just be and to
Yes.
really just know that I could wake up and it not be 5 a.m. and I not do this hardcore workout. I could just go walk barefoot in my yard and go do grounding because that's what I needed that morning, or, start with reading or do whatever and just give myself permission to again, trust my guts
Yeah.
that my body knows what I actually need this morning. And so that was like the flow of my healing was I started really, really regimented. And then it was
Yes.
like weaning off and being like, okay, no, 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 no. I'm okay. Like
I can
I can.
trust.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it may sound so silly if for someone who's never been through something hard, but I guarantee more people listening to this than not have been through something hard, and so to bring words to that, I wish I had a resource to be able to guide me through that. So that's why I love your work because you're guiding people through what I'm just like, this might sound good, this might, but to be able
Right.
to work with someone, that's absolutely
Yeah.
it's so, so, so powerful.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's the guiding and sometimes it's also the permission. Because isn't it nice when somebody's like, go walk barefoot in your yard? And then the thought is, wait, I can do that? I can do that? Okay, I'll do
Yes.
that.
Yes, and that is the whole thing, right? Giving yourself permission. Permission to feel different, permission, like you said, to pivot. I think that's been like my favorite word in the last couple of years. Is just, wait, did I fail? Yeah, perfect. Now I get to pivot. But we
Yeah.
get to do it with all of the knowledge and wisdom we've gained from every little part of our journey. Again, embracing that we're not starting from scratch. We're starting with a lot of experiences. Maybe it's a lot of failed experiences, but we're not starting from just, ground zero. We're
Right.
starting again and just giving ourselves permission. I absolutely love that. That's so, so good. Okay, so talk to me through the whole idea of burnout. I think if there is one word that anybody in our 2025 culture can relate to is burnout. So talk through that. Like if someone's listening and they feel like, "Oh, maybe that's just an overused word and, whatever." Like what are the signs? What are
Mhm.
some ways for people to again give themselves permission to feel and to lean into how what their body may be telling them, but what are some ways that people can see that, oh, you're probably headed to burnout if you're not already smack dab in the
There.
middle of it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love starting with definitions.
Mhm.
Burnout is absolutely real and it's stress. It is chronic stress that you have no idea how to manage, or that the tools that you have to manage it, they're not sufficient for the amount of stress that you are under.
Mm.
So when you feel like that, you feel overwhelmed. You get into a state of either fight, flight, or freeze. So many of us get that functional freeze. We're like, forget it, or
Yep.
we start spinning.
Mhm.
So that is burnout. Burnout, stress. Can you manage the stress? No. Betrayal is different, but the symptoms are the same. Betrayal comes from the breaking of an expectation that
Mm.
ruptures your view about how things should be. So you spend your
Mm.
whole life in a career that you love. You're considered a high potential employee. You think you're going to get the corner office, and bam, we promoted somebody else. And actually, can you go down to the mailroom? You're not burned out. You might be for other reasons, but that's a sense of betrayal. And that's a huge example. But there's so many micro betrayals along the way
Mhm.
where we're not given something that we think. For me, that sense of betrayal was I thought I could do a work life balance and I
Mhm.
couldn't. So it felt like a betrayal. It was like they told me I could do it all. Who is
Mm.
they? I don't know, but they told me I could do it all and I can't do it all. So it's this micro betrayal. When
Mhm.
people take away benefits, when your partner says or does something like, look, I've got a new job in a different state, we're going to have to move. And you're like, wait, what? I mean, it's that sense of betrayal. And
Mm.
it leads to the same feelings: resentment, overwhelm, shut down,
Mhm.
resentment. So that's why it's really important to distinguish between, is this burnout stress or is
Mhm.
this betrayal a broken expectation?
Okay, that's huge. So that was like
Huge.
a light bulb moment, and because again, to relate the same feelings. Because okay, so when you're burnout, it's like okay, what can I eliminate? What can I do that's in my passion? Again, it feels very much like how can I shift and change? betrayal is the outward that you cannot control,
No.
but you're still being very, in a real way, affected by what's going on around you. And so learning, so what would you say it is? So you mentioned like these healing modalities, but is there a certain level of like changing your expectations? And how do you coach someone through
Yeah.
that sort of thing?
Oh, hold that thought. All right, friends, have you ever moved? You guys know how crazy, insanely stressful that can be. And I have a podcast partner that absolutely is a solution to this problem. If you are moving anywhere near the Atlanta area, you guys have got to call these guys. There is a company that genuinely makes the process as stress-free as possible. Atlanta Pack and Load boasts nearly 30 years of experience providing customized packing, moving, and storage solutions. They are fully licensed, fully insured, Better Business Bureau accredited, and the trusted moving partner for realtors all over Georgia. Call today for a free quote and make sure you let them know that you heard them right here on Be Jennuine Podcast. 770-779-8959 or find them online. All of their info will be in the show notes. Move the smart way. Move the pack and load way.
I love that because, yes, the healing modalities are on point for burnout because they help you manage stress. Deep breathing helps you manage stress. Yoga helps you manage stress. Those don't do anything for broken expectations. So what I teach around expectations, first of all, is identifying your expectations. You would be surprised how many of us never identify what our expectations are. What do you expect from this meeting? What do you expect from this conference? We just show up.
Right.
What do you really expect from your career? If you start identifying the things that you expect, it's very enlightening because then that next question is, are those realistic or are they idealistic? Because I expected that I could be a mom of two. I could be a powerful, successful attorney. I could still work out and take care of my health, that I could make happy, healthy dinners for everybody, that I could keep a clean house. I had very unrealistic expectations. Had somebody challenged me, given me the tools, the questions to challenge myself, does that seem idealistic or does that seem realistic? I could have laughed.
Right.
No, that is not realistic at all. And that
Right.
is the first stage of that shift is identifying and asking yourself, are these realistic or are they idealistic?
Oh, that's okay. So then we have that side of things. And then let's say you go to the next part where you mentioned like the spouse moves, wants to move jobs and it's, you're making the
Different
move. And
state.
so then it becomes your expectation is that things were going to stay the same.
Yeah.
But now everything is changing and it still feels like a betrayal. It's a betrayal of the life that you thought you were going to have. And now you have to re-examine every part of it and still try to function and pick up the pieces. But other than just shoving it and pretending it's okay, what does that look like? How do you work through something like that other than just swallowing your pride and moving forward, right? Like we said, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and just,
Right.
which doesn't work.
No, it
Creates
doesn't.
tons of issues. And so I just love your
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
The second part of that, you went right to the heart of it. It's communicating. First of all, let's have some conversations around this. I'm not trying to persuade. We're just communicating. We need to communicate how I feel. We need to communicate what you think, what you feel. And that's where a lot of that somatic processing comes. We talk about how do I move through this? You move through it by moving. Walk and talk, dance, stretch, breathe. Move through it. When you feel sick to your stomach, you've got to move your stomach. When you've got a headache and you're like, oh my gosh, I just can't do this, it's because you're not moving. Move through it. We can move through anything if we move, but communicate and move.
Wow. That's so good.
Mhm.
I mean, I think even when you get in, like for me, a stressful day, what's the immediate thing that I do when I get overwhelmed? I'm like, I got to go for a walk. I've got to get fresh air and get my body moving and all of that. And I guess I knew that it gets things flowing, but I love that. I love the fact that like we're literally moving through it and letting
Yeah.
our body do what it's meant to do and let everything flow like it's meant to flow instead of sitting here and expecting us to figure it out without moving in it, even in any direction. So that's
Yeah. And one of the things that I really recommend on that is
Uh-huh.
identify how you're feeling and then move in the opposite. If you are feeling disempowered, if you feel like, oh, great, my spouse took a job out of state, didn't even tell me, and you're
Mhm.
feeling like you have no power, lift weights. that makes you strong. If you are feeling rigid and stuck at work and there is no flow and there is no ability for you to come in 15 minutes late and stay 15 minutes late, go do yoga. It's flow. So find how you're feeling and then physicalize the opposite to bring in that energy.
Love that. Which probably explains why my go-to was to go and lift those weights, because my mind was telling me I wasn't strong enough to make the next. I couldn't do this on my own. I wasn't capable on my own. I've never been successful on my own. And it was like, my body's like, no, you are strong. You can do this. And then
Right.
once you realize I was strong, then it's like, okay, and now you can
Yeah.
move in a different direction. And then I'm assuming then that's where this life choreography. So is that a program that you've put together where you actually have like certain movements for certain, so kind of tell me what that looks like.
Yes, yes. I base it on the chakra system. Whether or not you understand or believe or know the chakra system, it doesn't matter. It's everything from like safety to creativity to power to voice to vision, all of those things that we want to bring in. What I do is I have the movements, the somatic movements for those different areas. Do you want to speak up at work and you feel like you're constantly biting your tongue? Let's do some of the movements around the throat, around the neck. If you're feeling out of power, the solar plexus, that's the seat of our power. How do we move into our power? How do we maintain that power when external forces are compressing us? And I love the whole life choreography because I truly believe it's like life is a dance. We get one dance number. Things are going to go wrong. If your costume falls off, if the music cuts out, if the stage light goes out, are you going to stomp off the stage and cry? No, you're not. You got to figure it out with the tools that you're given. And that's what I want to empower people to have. Here are the tools to move through whatever sensation it is that you've got going on. Here is what you can do to make yourself feel better.
I love that. Again, it goes back to the have what's inside of you to heal if you just lean in and you just listen to what your body needs. And again, you're putting some major new tools for so many people in their toolbox because again, we're just not taught this anywhere, right? I'm so thankful that there's like a movement of people leaning into this. And I mean, I didn't know what somatic anything was until then. I was always scared of yoga. I'm like, no, I'm not flexible. Like I can't do yoga. Like give me the weights. And then I kept hearing it and I'm like, well, wait, that's like a big, huge bodybuilder guy. And he's like, yoga changed my life and the flow of my body. And I was like, okay,
Wait,
hold
what?
on.
Yeah.
I'm not flexible. I sure know he's not flexible. And it like opened my eyes to it. And then I leaned into learning about what somatic exercises were. And I hate for people who still don't understand that's even out there. And there's so much work around being able to lean into that. And so anyway, how can, there's one more thing, your fuel up burnout recovery method. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Tell me all the things.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Yeah. And we talked about some of it. Fuel Up is an acronym and it's for anybody, whether they're not sure if they're burned out, whether they're not sure if it's betrayal. These are the 5 steps that they can go through to kind of self-identify, to figure it out. And it's pretty simple. The F is find your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Are you doing it to prove a point? Are you doing it because you need to earn money? Are you doing it because you're passionate about justice, finance, whatever? You is uncover what's really going on. And I think that's one of my favorite steps because so often what we think is going on is not what's going on. It's the thing under that that's really going on. If you are feeling, however, what's the root cause of that?
And so I'm just thinking, so I'm going through my world and I'm uncovering the fact that things are actually betrayal, not just simply burnout. And then what does that look like? Is that just like a sit alone with a journal and just ask yourself the hard questions?
You can, but here's my method of doing it. You're going to love this. Write it out as a sentence. The problem is I'm burned out. The problem is I'm whatever. Right below that sentence, do a word association. You don't have to think too hard. The problem is I'm, instead of burned out, if that's your problem. So like this, what is the first word you associate with burnout? Don't think too hard.
Overwhelm.
Overwhelm. Perfect. Now, when you look at the word overwhelm, what do you think? What do you associate with that?
Not knowing the direction and just being, spinning my wheels and not knowing what step to take next.
Yes. So go down 3 levels.
Mm.
That tends to be your root. So for the example that we gave, your problem is not being burned out. Your problem is not knowing how to manage your stress. It's
Yeah.
not knowing which direction to go. It's not knowing what is your most immediate next step.
So good, because we're just typical to label it something, right? The word, and we just label it burnout, and then we don't ever get to the root. Then we just keep saying, "Oh, I'm burnout," and then we go research burnout, and then it's probably like fix again surface level things. But I love that if we don't get to the root, then we're
Mhm.
just going to keep putting a band-aid on an unhealed wound and just keep moving on, and then it's just going to get, we know what happens to those kind of
Yeah.
wounds.
And it's different every time too, which is nice about it. Sometimes it's, I'm tired. Okay, you need more sleep. Sometimes it's, I'm feeling disempowered. Sometimes, like that, it's, I don't know what the next step is. It gives you the real solution instead of admiring the problem. Oh God, I'm so burned out. I'm so burned out. You're burned out. I'm burned out. Oh,
And then we're like, "Oh, we just need to go to the spa and take a bath," and you're like, "Okay, and."
right. And then what do you do after that? Yeah.
Yeah, when you're like, okay, then back to reality, when there's nothing in place and you just again don't know where to turn. And that's why I'm so passionate about bringing words to things like this, because I
Yes.
feel like so many times we just feel so alone. We
Yes.
just feel like everybody else looks so happy and they have life figured out and they're not struggling, or if they are, it's okay. And that's just
Right.
not
What's
the
wrong with
reality.
me? Yeah.
Right, exactly, but there must be something wrong with me, and that's where this whole authenticity has become, like, my mantra, because I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm not about airing dirty laundry everywhere, we don't need that." Like, people do that for Facebook, I'm like, "You need therapy," whatever,
Right.
but the reality is knowing that these real things that we're experiencing, they're not disqualifying us, they're just reminding us that we're human, and
Yeah.
we are people who have needs and have emotions and have things to work through, and the more vulnerable that we are, then we can find the right tools to actually get to the root of the issues, or a root of our struggles,
Yeah.
and then actually build a life that we are excited to live, not without all heartache, but again, we get to experience a healed life that we would have never done if we don't actually acknowledge that the pain is
Yes.
there. So I love that. 3 layers deep. That's really powerful.
Yeah, go 3 layers, and that uncovers what's happening, and that's what I love how you were describing the authenticity, because that's what uncovering in the Fuel Up is. It's uncovering that authentic layer of, "What do I need help with right now?"
Right. Yeah. Back to the
Mhm.
permission, right? Back to giving yourself permission to ask for help, to
Yes.
even know that, you can access help, and
Yes.
to give yourself space to do that. Love that. Okay. So that's
Yep.
FU. What's E?
FU. The E is the expectation management, and that was the part that we already talked about.
Yep.
The L, I love. That stands for laugh. Laughing, according to the Mayo Clinic, is actually the number one way to calm and re-regulate the nervous system. And right?
That's amazing. But it's like the last thing you want to do when you're stressed, right? You're just like, you can't
Exactly.
even, but to give you, it's okay. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Whether it's at home or it's at work, how can you bring in some humor? How
Right.
can you find social media can be great if you use it effectively? Like that. We can look at all the drama or we can look at funny puppy videos. I love following some of the comedy clips. I will start my day with that. I will end my day with that because it makes me laugh. So then I get my brain back. I'm
Yeah.
calm. I'm re-regulated. I can actually solve more problems if I'm feeling that sense of laughter inside than if I'm feeling that sense of, God, I'm going to die
Mhm.
right now.
Right. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I think, especially after going through my pitfall, it was like, I just want peace. Like, you're like seeking things that are easier. Now I'm,
Yes.
building things that are, difficult, go through those, but the alignment with the people around us, and then even that, like being around and choosing things to fill your mind with, it just make you laugh. It just make you be grateful. Like, one of my favorite statements is, what stress and gratitude can't exist in your mind at the same time. And so
Yeah.
just letting yourself, reminding you, not this fake whatever, genuinely going to that space of really have so much to be grateful for. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
And laughter is contagious. If you're with
Mhm.
somebody who is a bright light, you amp up to their level. And
So
I want to be that person for others too. I want people to come to me and to
mhm.
know that they're going to walk away feeling joyful. And I want people in my life when I'm down, that same thing. I can go and yes, I can be genuine. I can be authentic. I can be all that. But then I can also say, help me find the humor in this situation because right now I'm not seeing it.
Right. Exactly, right? Having those people in your life who can see past the forest in front of you and then can just give you that glimmer of sunshine and laughter that you, yeah, genuinely so desperately need. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
much goodness.
Yeah.
Awesome. So talk to me about, I mean, I can think of tons of people in my own world. Even you, I'm like, man, I wish I had you 2 years ago, in my world. But like, what
Yeah.
are some identifiers of, and what is it, and explain then what it looks like, what your work looks like. Is it one-on-one coaching? Do you group coaching? Is it resources that are available? Clearly, you are a huge resource for anyone experiencing this burnout and betrayal. And what does it look like? How can people connect with you, and what makes a good fit?
Yeah, absolutely. I always like to start working with people one on one just so we can figure it out, so we can really truly uncover it. So we're not hiding from ourselves and then saying, well, that didn't work for me. Well, let's talk first. So, yes, I love working one on one. I have some group programs. Group programs are great for accountability as well. And then I do have some, on your own DIY programs where you can do the videos and you can do the worksheets and you can walk yourself through it. But again, like I said, I love connecting one on one because we hide from ourselves.
Right?
We hide from ourselves so often.
We
And it's
do.
just really nice having somebody to be able to hold up the mirror and say, what I see in you is,
That's like invaluable.
right?
Absolutely valuable to have someone in your world who loves you enough and can help you see again what you don't even have the capacity to see,
Yep.
especially if you're right after something really, really dark and deep in your world. Or even that, like I'm thinking, of decades of living again with for someone else, and you're living with this like rub of what could it be, and like silencing how you really feel, and giving yourself space to meet with you and uncover what's actually going on, and for the first time in your life to feel the freedom of not being ashamed of you, because I think there's this whole shame thing too, right? We
Oh,
think if people
huge.
see us how we see ourselves, or if they even knew, then and then we start to think that we're not worthy of happiness, that we're not worthy of healing. And
Yes.
to be able to break through that complete lie and
Yeah.
say, absolutely, just like anybody is, you are worthy of living a life that's totally in different energy than you're living right now. And you're one decision away of saying, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going,
Mhm.
going to invest in myself. And
Yes.
I'm going to know that I'm worth getting to the bottom of it and having this guide to come alongside me and help me navigate this season of your life. So I
Yeah.
absolutely love your work. I think it's fascinating. And I'm so inspired again by taking the absolute hardest seasons of your life and choosing to use it to give so much hope and light to people who are trying to figure out how to navigate this. And I heard someone say that you're supposed to be a coach when you start to analyze the steps that you're going through in a season and you're looking to use it for other people. And it was such this like affirmation that not everybody does that.
Isn't that interesting?
Right. Because I'm like, oh, doesn't everybody? But they don't. And so just to like affirm you like as this coach, that like, to take what you've learned and to just let it evolve into something that fluidly, continues to grow and change and be able to help people. And for other people listening that may be the same way, just to
Mhm.
say, hey, it's not normal. That's actually a gift inside of you to be able to give back and use your experiences to help the people who are where you were 5 years ago, 5 months
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
whatever that looks like.
So
Um,
powerful.
I mean, it really is. And gosh, I get giddy because I want people to see that power of that healing and just to know that there's another way to live.
Mhm.
And so where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Oh, so many places. I am definitely all over social media. You can send me an email or you can check out my website. And I actually have two different websites, loracheadle.com,
Okay.
but I also have one that's a little bit more focused on leadership, and that's workplace-burnout.com.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
we didn't even really touch on that, but is that where you take that into like corporate world?
Yes.
Okay. Love
Yes.
that's a
Yeah.
whole great one.
Because it's internal and is external. Like LoraCheadle.com, that is me and me. That's the relationship between me and myself and figuring it out. And then the workplace burnout is, how do I do this with other people? And
Right.
the thing is, we can't show up for other people any more authentically than we can show up for ourselves.
So powerful. Yes. So powerful. So that segues right into my last thing as we're wrapping this up. My tagline, my motto is that your authenticity is your superpower. So I would love, in your own words, you kind of dabbled into it a bit in this conversation, but what does that mean to you? How would you say, and someone even looking at your own journey, what does it mean to you that your authenticity is your superpower?
Yeah. I think it really means leaning into that thing that you're afraid of, leaning into being seen as whatever it is that you fear, incompetent, unworthy, and just getting comfortable enough in yourself that you can show yourself as incompetent. I can show myself as unworthy and still somewhere inside know that I'm still good enough.
I love that so much, to be able to sit with both of it and know that your worth doesn't change because of either of it.
Yep.
That's so powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you. I could talk to you all night long. But what a great conversation. And thank you for I knew this was going to be a powerful conversation. I could just tell when I was like, man, what a story that you have and what impact that you're making. And so thank you for your work. And you guys, I'll put all of the info in the show notes so you guys connect with her, make it super easy for you. But as we close, I just want to say, you guys, thank you so much for listening. And I love you and I believe in you. And that may sound super weird because for most of you, I've never met you. But there are people all around the world who hate people for no reason. I will always choose to love you for no reason until we meet and I find the millions of reasons there are to love you. So you guys have a great week and I'll see you back next week.